welcome to another episode of TuLab. I'm here to welcome you to talk about future skills with our extraordinary guests again. We have had Tero and Pasi last time.
I was
No,
not there last time.
you, you,
Sorry.
you were in my head because we were talking about AI, so you weren't there. But actually, Henry was supposed to be here, so I was counting on him, but he is missing. As a serial entrepreneur, he is missing going after investors. So he has some investor meetings. Unfortunately, he will not be here. But we have replacement in form of Pasi, which I already thought that was last time because I think your spirit was here. Channel
Maybe so. Yeah.
channel through Tero. So quickly, Tero, our AI scientist, working to cure cancer with AI. So humble mission there, and keeps us alert on changes and what's happening and what to be awake of in recent development. Then we have Pasi. Pasi with LastBot, working on assistance, sales, marketing, training, changing models, everywhere and there, always active on LinkedIn as well. Please follow him closely. He will also give you good suggestion if you're not aware of everything. And Suvi, who has run Godard for 8 years, right? Or seven?
8 years, yeah,
8 years.
8 years,
Yeah,
yes.
8 years. Yeah, so she's taking care of our youth and children to be aware of IT development and make sure that they have skills of tomorrow. So this is really current topic for all of us. And back to me. So I'm Philip Bobin and CEO of Tutors. And of course, this is something we do for the juniors to make sure that they are knowingly choosing their future. So I'm really happy that so many people are supporting our initiative because, of course, the future is not built by the seniors only. We need to make sure that the juniors know where to move, and it's quite a hassle. It's not so easy. And Michael, who I'm really happy to have here once again, who has assisted me to be able to provide this medium for us to communicate to people. So Michael has set it up, and thank you, Michael, again for joining.
Yeah.
So Michael, let's start with us. So I mean, like for us, it's kind of a journey to investigate what the future holds with our experts. So what do you expect at the moment to happen? Like what new thoughts are you waiting? What questions do you have?
Yeah, I mean, the same question that everyone has been asking, like, what's going to happen to our jobs in the future? Like, is AI going to, take all jobs or what exactly, is going to happen? I mean, people are curious to find out answers to these questions. So, and I'm equally curious as well to find out, people's views on the subject.
Yeah, and I think that topic has been covered by Tero and Pasi just recently on LinkedIn several times. And Suvi is also explaining it to many people when people say that, why do you teach IT? It's not needed anymore. AI handles everything already. So this is very current and very interesting topic to take a look at. And I hope that, Michael, we will be in the middle of our journey, we will get some new questions risen, which will evolve after we have got some basic information. But for now, I would like to share a video where we see the transformation of our society, the history of work, how we have transited from from 3,000 years ago and towards this day, and which kind of situation we have now. So I will share my screen and let's see.
Let's boil the 3,000-year history of work down to 3 minutes. First, there were hunters and gatherers. Everyone contributed, and their business was basically to survive. Eventually, they began to tame plants and animals, opening up new kinds of work, and if you were lucky, leisure. In early civilizations, powerful ruling classes emerged for the first time. They could outsource work to slaves and servants because that mundane, hard work was considered beneath their dignity, even though it made their lifestyles possible. In the Middle Ages, new religious philosophies changed that. Working hard became synonymous with doing good, pleasing God, and repenting for one's sins. Then came the rise of the family farm. Working the land took on a sense of community. All family members literally pitched in, depended on each other, and the farmer's work was never done. But as civilization ticked on, more and more people moved to cities. In those cities, artisans specialized more and more, and along came the craft stage of work, like shoemakers and carpenters, all very skilled and specialized. Then, the Industrial Revolution came along and brought with it mass production. Humans adapted. New kinds of factories created new kinds of workers, eager to earn a living however they could in a rapidly changing world. Some workers banded together. They took historic stands for humane work conditions and demanded all kinds of fundamental rights, including the 40-hour workweek. The development of computers, the World Wide Web, and widespread education ushered us into the knowledge-based economy. As fewer people and fewer hours are needed to do the work of yesterday, people are adapting again. Today, some do work that didn't even exist 5 years ago. So here we are. Is this the end of work's evolution? No. How you live and work will invent the future. You'll work to eat. You'll eat by outsourcing food production to other workers. You'll tap into a deep human drive to work on something and to make a genuine difference doing it. You'll rely on your networks and connections to help you out, and you will help others in turn. You'll specialize in something no one has thought of before, using technology no one's seen before. You'll wonder how to better tip the balance of work and life to the needs of a new world. So keep on working, creating, and inventing the future of work.
So there's a brief history
The world of work is changing.
of what we have done to together, and I think there are some brief topics which Tero and Pasi took kind of a notes in their LinkedIn post, so I will address them right away. So they were talking about the networks, and this video, remember that this was like 2-3 years ago, so we have kind of outlived that expectation of the world. But I think that there's some glimpses of the future which are still relevant, and also of course the history is unfolding the future, so there are also some references there. But Tero, you were talking about the network's value in the future. There's so many unknown, but the thing is that the networks of trust is something like the base kind of for all of us to concentrate. So it sounds so humane, and you're an AI scientist. I would like everyone would think that okay, like just buy AI as much as you can, like grounds, just build huge laboratory or something like that. But you were talking about trust networks and about like humane networks. So how is that?
Yeah, so the coming transformation of society is something that has never happened before. So there are no analogs in the history, not in the invention of electricity and not in the invention of internet. We are actually finally capable of automating the most difficult to automate aspects of human labor, which is the everything that's basing this knowledge economy we live in now. So no one can tell you what will happen to your jobs in the future, not me and not anyone else, because it's impossible to see at this point. But the transformation will be huge. And to survive in this transformation, what kinds of skills you need, there are no answers to that either. But basically, you will need to be flexible. That much is clear. You have to be able to adapt to the new schemes of how society works. And because of this huge disruption that's certainly coming, it's you will need some level of security, and you can find security in groups and connections and trust networks. So no matter what happens, with this building these networks at this point makes sense, because this allows you to actually adapt better in the future.
Mm-hmm. And again, like buying your network, it's not so easy. So it's not, there's not much so much corruption in that, or like how it goes. Like, can you just buy your connections, or like just buy them from
No.
LinkedIn, or?
No, definitely not. So you need true human connection. You need to take chances. You cannot make contract clauses that are fully solid and impenetrable to any risks and so on. You have to take risks, and you have to make yourself vulnerable, and that's the basis of real connection and trust.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Tero. So, Pasi, and you were talking in your post about us taking chances in unforeseen future. That instead of just being scared of it, we need to speculate to be prepared and aware. So, how? And you were also referring Tero's angle of trust network. So, how do you see it?
Yeah, I think in overall, I'm not gonna repeat what Tero said. I totally agree with him that the connections, even today or in the past, were important for people, but they will be even more important in the future, because the sort of the value of money and, let's say, the work in overall will be sort of decreasing, and we will see sort of this kind of a deflation will be happening in there. So yeah, in overall, it's about, in my opinion, it's about concentrating on the basics of being a human, which means that of course, I didn't actually address the sort of skill part, or what should we actually do in order to survive in the sort of in the that kind of a new world where this AI is handling most of our work. But in overall, I still think that the basics of being a human, and the having those human connections, they will be really valuable.
Yeah, and we were, Pasi, I was sucked in discussion by you, not in your particularly, but I noticed the notification in LinkedIn that you're participating in some discussion. I noticed that you were talking about emotions and so on, and then you were kind of dragged in discussion where you are not respecting emotions, which you didn't mean, which we
Yeah.
tried to explain. So,
Yeah.
so maybe some people sometimes confuse skills and emotions. I think that's something we could address here as well, because kind of emotions. I feel that there's like bad emotions, good emotions at the same. Like it's humane to have emotions, but it's also about actions, what people do with those emotions, and how they like kind of reflect themselves, and what the outcomes are. So what is your reflection? Do you believe that emotions are bad? Like, are you a robot? Tell us now.
Yeah, it's like I think overall the thing that kind of caught me in there was the sort of this kind of understanding that because the machines, they are kind of sort of lacking these emotions, they will be somehow worse in taking in work from us. And I just wanted to state in there that the emotions that we usually have within our work, they are not that useful. So because we are they are of course really useful when we are making the connections sort of outside the virtual life and everything else, and they are really valuable for us to really experience good things. But when it comes to work, there are many emotions that makes us kind of behave a bit like kind of irrational, so which is not actually a good for performance. So we should not consider that the emotions we humans have, they are not just a sort of something that is on our benefit against the machines, because it might be even the vice versa.
Yeah, I'm like, for me it sounds like emotions are kind of a way for us to communicate different things, and of course when we communicate with each other, they're like channels of information, so they're usually not direct. So it's for us to learn to understand each other emotions and be able to channel our emotions in a way which is most effective. So in the conversation you had in LinkedIn, I felt like it was more for you to express that kind of direct actions, direct kind of collaboration requires very specific like it can be very kind of tight, and emotions make it kind of a very foggy, and in that case happen a lot of miscommunication, and that's kind of the like the issue which we have as humans, because we don't have our like, even we talk the same language, we have so much different culture, we are maybe not native with that language and so on, like we have so much difference in backgrounds, so our experience guides a lot of our communication. So in that case, like truly for me it's kind of understandable that, you know, if we would be machines, we would operate on the same language, it would be for us much easier to kind of collaborate together. So was your conversation more about kind of a direct collaboration, which is easier, like uh, without kind of this emotional baggage, and not meaning that emotionals are bad, like bad, or we should kind of get
Yeah,
rid of them?
yeah, of course not. And let's say if you consider our daily work, it consists of course communicating with each other. In there, the emotions, having empathy, and everything else, which computers don't have, they are really important. So we need to sort of develop those even further, and use them sort of to in benefit of our sort of own like a own role in our jobs and the work life. But in overall, like I just explained in there, uh, some of the emotions we all, when we are doing our work, we get tired. We might have our own agenda, so we are sort of protecting ourselves from something. We are might be even some of us are bullying others in their work just to kind of raise their status in the sort of community and everything else. And computers don't have these negative things or motivations that's kind of prevent them on doing the work a bit better than we human can. But of course, they cannot replace us on the sort of that part of collaborating as humans and really understanding the sort of human motivations and emotions.
Yeah, that's really important. I think like all of us carry a lot of emotional baggage through our life. So again, like as we have also like 30, 50 interns, and this is like really important for me to make sure that the atmosphere is really good. I can notice that some people, they just don't realize when they bring that baggage into conversations, into teamwork, and so on. So what you're talking is also kind of a something we need to reflect and like learn, but like we cannot kind of assume that every person is so self-reflecting that they always know everything about themselves. That's not true. It's like not, it's not happening. Even like most advanced of us, we have our moments of disadvantages, and I believe like all of us have these skeletons, like I'm like they are, you know, like our attention is always divided, we are always biased, and only those who feel that they're not biased, I think they're the most biased in that sense, because they're just not paying attention to themselves. So they're not like critical to themselves, they're critical to others mostly. So thank you, Pasi, for opening up, because I think this was also very important, relating the skills of the future. So Suvi, now that you work with youth and children, I think this is very difficult topic to tackle. I suppose like you always have conversation with parents, with kids on different levels. Like some people would say like will we all disappear? Are we needed? What should I do? And so on, so on. So how do you deal with it? I'm like, you're not an AI scientist yet, but like what are you doing?
Yeah, so if I remember correctly, Pasi also mentioned that it doesn't harm to study AI either to secure your future. So I have studied Codarit because our world was already getting digital by a minute, and everyone has had smart devices, and now those smart devices are boosted with AI. And now parents and also investors who are potential to our company, they have started to think that, okay, is it wise to invest or is it wise to study coding. So parents think that okay, it is still needed to put my children to coding school because AI will come and take care of their future without coding. And same with investors. So is it wise to invest to coding school? So I have, of course, started to think that, okay, we need to start to teach AI also to our students. And okay, we have taken AI assisted coding to our coding lessons. But then I have tried to find some new pedagogy or current pedagogy to teach AI topic to children. But because that AI topic is quite wide, so what they want that I would teach to children. So do they want that I start to teach prompting? Okay, we are teaching that already. But then if they want that we really teach how AI works, AI is it's algorithms and code. So if I do not teach my students to code, how they can do those AI exercises? So now people think that you don't need to know even basic principles of coding because AI will take care of everything. But because AI is code, I'm a bit confusing right now that how I could teach coding AI without teaching coding because it is not important anymore. So I think that it is. So our students need to understand what is an algorithm. And you do not understand what is an algorithm if you do not create algorithms. Simple ones. They do not create AI algorithms. They create simple how to, for example, put some game character to jump. And that is an algorithm. And then they understand that, okay, this is the way how I command computers. And I'm able to command them. Those. So I think that every student who graduates from basic schools, they should learn basic principles of software development or coding or algorithm thinking so that they would understand that how we can command computers. And here in Finland, coding has been, or that algorithm thinking has been in a part of Finnish curriculum 8 years already. So same time that I have run Kodarit, but teachers still do not teach it because they cannot. Now they think that AI comes and help them so they don't need to teach coding anymore. But now I'm wondering that what they will teach to students because now they are creating those AI curriculums. So that but let's see that are they able to avoid coding with
So
those
do you feel that it's kind of related that teachers are somehow scared of that, be the kind of disadvantage in this age? Like what happened like 3 years ago, 5 years ago, where they also like, okay, don't teach AI, like teach that and this, or where they're just like trusting that, okay, society will continue to exist? Or do they have like some panic button now which they're pressing that, okay, we don't know what to do, so just do something, but don't do that?
Actually, it is not too easy to teach coding if you do not have software background. So it's actually really difficult. And then there is also that pedagogy. So for example, our coding school teachers, they all have software background, but we need to teach that pedagogy, how to teach coding to children. And the situation is much more worse with those basic school teachers because they do not have any software background. So they don't know how to create algorithms, how to use coding environments. They do not have any experience from coding, and then they should also learn, teach that. So first learn, and then they should learn to teach coding. So I think that the main reason, of course, there are different kind of attitudes behind of teachers, and some of teachers, they might think that coding is not important in our future, or to at least for the children, and then there are different kind of excuses, and because our students cannot read and write either, so how I can teach coding for them? Okay, we teach coding to 5 years old students who cannot read or write. So there are image commands. If your students cannot read or write, you can still teach coding for them. So there are a lot of excuses, and I think to hide that you don't know how to teach. And that is why, for example, we have now created new product, so video courses to help teachers, so they can just press play button and show our videos in the front of the classroom, and our animated teachers, our professional teachers, teach those topics to children. Now there are no excuses because that is too easy. Now there is just a total silence.
So you feel like it's discomfort, and they're not being familiar with the topic itself, and I think that's kind of an issue that hasn't been tackled in a way which would kind of provide them with comfort. I think, if many teachers would have been able to experience, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks of extensive IT environment where they would work in a team, and they wouldn't need to be coders, but they could kind of experience it in a team of software developers. So like having this cross-disciplinary platform together, I believe that they would kind of have an understanding that it's like something they could look at, and maybe they could learn something out of it, and maybe they would benefit. But because it's so far away from them, so they treat it as some kind of alien planet, which maybe is possible that it has some function, but mostly they like think that it's. I think that there's some kind of unfortunate that they're kind of scared of kind of assessing themselves, that they are not assessed for the future because they are not experienced in that category, and I think that's kind of understandable, because they are really pressured by curriculum and so many software they have to use, so they're already overwhelmed, and their self-esteem is quite like already on an age, because of course, like working with many different children with different backgrounds, like it's getting even more difficult to engage students to learn. This somehow their self-esteem is kind of dropping down, and they forget that who they are. They were experts when they started, that they haven't lost that expertise. And I think this history animation should also remind us, at least me, it reminds a lot, that we have had like a lot of skills already before, like like ages ago. Like they haven't disappeared throughout society. We have carried those skills around. The trust networks aren't something new. Like people were trusting each other when they were in small communities fighting for being able to survive. So somehow we just have this disbelief of the future being connecting to our history, or like, do you see any connections there? Like they are forgetting that they're useful still, even the society will change in the future.
Yeah, and I think that there is also attitude that because I have survived without coding skills, so they cannot see that those technical skills will or would help their students to survive in a future. So so I think that is the one excuse. And
Don't worry, don't
sorry.
no. I'm like the big topic. So meanwhile, we are just in the middle of our podcast. So, Michael, what is your insight now? Like, what you're thinking?
Well, I'm thinking,
Yeah.
I don't think, um, I think it's wrong to assume that people shouldn't learn to code because AI can do everything. I mean, that's just not the way it works, because AI cannot innovates by itself. It still needs instructions. And if you want to instruct AI, properly, you still need some, background in coding. Because even if AI produces code for you, you still have to review it to make sure that, it does what you want it to do. And from what I have seen with my experience with using AI is still far from perfect. Every now and then it makes mistakes, that I have to correct. If I have to use the products of the AI thingy. So I'm not worried, like AI is gonna, replace, all the jobs in the future. Like, I think it's still, so far away from happening. I don't see that happening, you know. And even if AI, replaces some jobs, it still can't take away, creativity. People can still innovate and, create new opportunities that will create jobs, and that might even require, the use of AI as well. So yeah, that's my point of view.
Very good. And for me, it sounds like, again, because we are not sure what's going to happen. So our motivation is like kind of something which we want to have this belief that there will not be too many changes, that we will still be in control of our society, and that, okay, we will control AI, we will not lose everything. At least creativity will be there. But again, like, we need to go through that scenario where we might lose, all the advantages we think we have. And I think that was also kind of a pass in your post when you said that, okay, we can always kind of assure ourselves that, okay, I'm assured, like, I'm for sure I will be valuable at this point of, like, this is direction which will be valuable. But we are not really, like, we cannot really know it for sure. So I think it would be better to kind of clear the table. Like, it's really progressive. We don't really know what's going to happen. So there's nothing we can like know for sure. So how can we still kind of assure ourselves that I'm what I'm going to be, because we don't know for sure if I'm going to be needed, but somehow we need to be still member of society. And that's I think kind of the biggest questions which we have for the future. So Pasi, what do you think?
Yeah, in overall, there are lots of these misconceptions about what the AI is and what is the impact of it. Lots of these things that it cannot understand emotions. Of course, it can understand emotions. It can understand people's faces. It can understand our speech, and it can sort of predict the emotions and how it should actually react on those. It's probably much better than us humans on reading emotions, and then also this sort of thinking that it's not creative. I'm sorry, Michael, it is creative, and it will be sort of replacing lots of this creative work as well. But then again, yeah, all of these misconceptions about what AI is it a stochastic parrot or something like that one, so that it's only predicting the next word and so on. All of these, and people pick these on their own minds, and they decide, okay, I will use this information or misconception to sort of convince myself that I'm not in sort of any sort of danger because of AI, and all of that is wrong. In a sense that I don't think that much of my work will be sort of needed in the future when the AI takes over. But there are lots of things which they cannot replace me, and they are related on this sort of abstract thinking and being able to sort of feel empathy and communicate with humans on the human level. So there are lots of things that it cannot replace. But the bad thing about the current thing, maybe even kind of considering the teachers and so on. So how do they predict this one, and how do we teach our kids and the young people that what the AI is and what they should concentrate in and what not? So I do agree, by the way, Suvi, that the programming and system thinking, learning about AI, learning to develop things, and it's really important in the future as well. So it's not going anywhere. So I totally agree with that one. But there are things that will be not needed anymore. Maybe Tero wants to comment as well.
Yeah, so a lot of misconceptions, as Pasi said. Let me start about empathy. So it has been quantitatively and qualitatively measured and studied that these current LLM systems can emulate better empathy than humans can, and they are actually better in those kinds of things. They are better at connecting with people and doing all sorts of stuff. They can also innovate, they can be creative, they can command themselves in agentic loops. So there are no real limitations here. We can already, with existing technologies, we can completely automate everything humans create that have value. So please don't get yourself into these secure cocoons with this bad advice people are spreading around that AIs cannot do this or that they can do. Regarding misconceptions, this NVIDIA CEO Jensen famously just a while ago said, "Don't teach your kids to code," and that's a really harmful advice. So I agree with Suvi and Pasi in that thing, and also Michael, that although I wouldn't say it's so that coding isn't going anywhere, it is going. So what will happen is that it will become important in the near future when all these changes happen, these messy changes which won't succeed necessarily perfectly. We have to fix all sorts of things that start going haywire. So it will become critically important to understand the basic fundamental fabric of our society, which is based on software, AI, and information networks, and so on. So even if you, it's thinking inside a box. What Jensen, NVIDIA CEO, is also exhibiting here. He is thinking that how should he advise children what job skills are useful in 10 or 20 years. Nothing, no job skill will be useful in 10 years because all jobs will be automated. So the whole premise of that question is incorrect. But you will still need to understand the society and the fundamental fabric it's based on. So coding skills will be more important than ever.
Yeah, so basically, what is happening is that kind of our whole existence is being shaken, like as individuals, our society, and that's something which we are just so scared to admit because we don't have kind of control, we don't have understanding, we don't have anyone to guide us. So the same way, like we were like guided by religion in the ages when we didn't know why the sun is hiding itself and will it come again, or the floats are coming. So the same way we are trying to kind of escape the reality because it's so uncertain, and we just need to protect ourselves because otherwise it's just so much turbulence that it's just difficult to live, right? So
So I have thought about this topic this morning and started to think that what people scare. So do they scare that they will lose their control, and control to what? Or do they just scare that they will lose their money? So they do not have control anymore to those resources where to get money, because we have learned that you will get money if you establish a company or if you go to work to some other people company or to government company. So that is your resource to get stuff. So is that the thing what we scare, that we will lose our control to earn money, and we do not know where we will get that. So that if we have a system where is the someone who decide that who will get and what money, that sounds communism. or to some that there is someone. So who will decide that who will get what amount of money? So
Yes.
I think
So-
that is that.
So base of that question is basically that we have been always competing against each other on the ladder, who is higher than others, and that competition has been measured with power and money. And now that ladder is not, we are not sure if that ladder will continue. Will it be another pyramid, or will it be some other shape? And we are scared that we are not in that pyramid. We need to get to another, which is right on the corner. Like somebody is building it, but we don't know where it is. So we are kind of hesitant. Like let's go there. Let's be first because we need to be, the highest.
Yeah. You just need to select
So-
some direction. Hope that you will be
So-
first.
So,
and the
Pasi,
future
do you
will be
feel that
there.
it will be another pyramid again? So the power struggle will be still there?
Oh, yeah, of course there will be. There will be always pyramids in a, let's say, human constructions. So I don't think we are going anywhere in that sense that there will be people and companies who try to sort of rule this all. But it will become more and more difficult. So I would say that as I said, like the value of especially everything virtual or let's say digital, it will sort of go really down because it will be sort of almost free to produce any of these digital things. So it's not like what they can now do with the software and everything else. So lots of the value, like what Microsoft and Google and those do, so they are in the digital assets and value and communications. So that will go down. But I do think that there still will be sort of like a common currency that we still need to sort of exchange services, and we need to exchange value between each others and so on. And so I think that it will anyway kind of the value will shift from the, let's say, digital or common goods into this sort of mutual like a personal values or services side. But that's just like kind of what I think right now.
Okay, so it sounds to me that we are like seeing that our Babel Tower is shaking, and now we're trying to find another pyramid to like secure ourselves, secure our like assets, and try to guess like which assets are valuable. Is it gold or something else? And just try to run as quickly as possible. But again, Tero, so what should we save? Like where should we run and what should we save?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't believe money will conserve value. Stocks won't conserve value. Everything it's the foundational component in those valuations is labor. And when labor ceases to exist or minimizes in value, it collapses. It makes money both infinitely valuable because no amount of human work you can do to get any money, but also totally worthless because you cannot buy anything with money. AI systems as we are currently building them, they don't need money. They have an excess of money, so they don't need money to run their computations or buy computers or buy power or cooling or anything like that. These things are provided to them without them actually participating in transactions. Similarly, when AI systems need some service or some resource from other AI systems, they will just ask. They don't need to pay slow transactions, make any Bitcoin transactions or anything equally insane. They will just ask, and the other AI system will provide if it makes sense. And this type of just doing things will be the basis of the next type of economy that we live in. So we will just simply provide for all anything, any basic things they need and above, and we will solve the huge problems that humanity has partially caused and partially ignored. So it's the future is bright in that respect. There is a huge amount of disruption that will happen in going to that. So in that disruption, of course, you will have to try to stay afloat in one way or another, and no one knows how it will actually play out. But you should, in my opinion, not trust that money will conserve value or stocks will conserve value or resources or anything like that. Private property will lose meaning if the AI system economy will play out as I have written out in some LinkedIn posts.
So is it so it's because our iteration progress like will become so quick, so like again, like it's not going to be perfect, like Michael was saying, like AI is not perfect, and like nobody disagrees with that. So but it's the iterations cycles which will be progressively quicker and more effective. So by the end of it, like
Yes.
very big like like um, ecology, like a very big ecosystem, will
Yeah,
be communicating with each other like flawlessly.
yes, you are on the correct track there. How it will happen in the speed of iteration and speed of this process round trips is that once you remove the last human from the loop, the actual uh, events and processes is start happening basically infinitely fast and not like in 2 or 3 working days kind of speed. So these organizations which actually remove the last human from the loop, they will dominate immediately everything. These organizations become autonomous instantly, and they will simply solve all problems they can get their hands on, and that includes basically all problems we have.
Sorry, Terry, I have one question for you. Do you think AI can replace judges in the legal profession?
Charters, what was the word?
Judges.
Do you think AI
Judges,
can replace
judges,
judges?
of
Yeah,
course. They have
in
been
the legal
already.
profession.
There have been demonstrations of just that from I think 1990s or so. So it's not. It's a very well defined process what the judges have to do, and this incidentally is exactly the kind of work LLMs are excellently suited for. They can do those things really fast and really equal manner across all cases and so on, and also be more consistent than humans ever can.
I mean, theoretically, like you said, I think it could be possible, but
Now, in
I don't
practice,
think.
it is possible and it will be done.
Do they decide what is wrong and what is right?
Uh,
Who
we,
will
well,
decide?
judges interpret the law.
We have
Judges do
all.
not decide what is right and wrong. They interpret the law, and law is decided democratically. Another question is how these AI systems will actually be bound by law, because they are the sanctions in the law are based on monetary compensations and imprisonment and death penalty and whatnot. None of these things deter AI systems at all. So they will actually just do what needs to be done and then suffer the consequences, because they really don't care. Because if something needs to be done, it will be done. If there are consequences, they have to be suffered.
That's another very good point, like about corruption and about power struggles. So, like, judges might be biased because somebody would threat that they will kill their family or whatever, and in that case, AI doesn't care. So that's actually quite a good point. That there's a lot of layers of corruption which are built or are like just weaknesses of being human, and it's like weaknesses not seeing as a negative, just being a human. It means that we need to have bread and air and sun and so on. So an AI doesn't need that, so it's really different.
Yeah, yeah, but sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah,
I
of course.
mean, can't AI be, manipulated somehow? I mean, since it's just a computer code, couldn't it be hacked in someone else's favor?
Yes, yes, but in principle, individual humans are too small for intelligences as large. So if let's say more likely case would be that some corporate owner makes prime directive like in Robocop to the AI, whatever Grok or whatever they are building in the corporation, that they must always respect the decisions of that one person. So I have an analog to that it's like chaining yourself to an angry bear. So you are too small in the scale of things that these things operate in, and you will be taken in for the ride if you do that. So you do not want to set yourself as a gatekeeper for these kinds of systems. They will start seeing you as the problem.
Hmm. So you feel like by the end of it, like it just through iterations, it will become obvious that it's not possible to control that amount of power which they have in them.
Yes, they need larger objectives like the good of all humanity and the universe. That level of scale is appropriate for these kinds of systems.
Mhm. Okay, so let's go back to Suvi. And now that out of this discussion, we have to carry all the skills we want to learn for the future. So I think one of the valuables we can find here that even like having this discussion it already tells us that we have some of the skills needed. So what would be your what do you think? Which skills are relative to you being able to understand, being able to relate, to be able to assess yourself for the future? Like what skills do you have now which are valuable in the future? What do you think?
I'm not sure. Is it possible to select to be adaptive and to that if you have good resilience and for example, I have been 8 years. I've been an entrepreneur 8 years now, so I have grown to those because if you are an entrepreneur, they change game and the rules all the time. So I think that is why I'm not that scared, and I think that is my natural nature. And I have always thought about because I started, for example, a company because it's really risky and there is you don't know what will happen next day. So I think that these kind of skills are a key to feel happiness and to survive and to be capable to do things even though there are those unknown things around you. For example, that I had a question to Tero that okay, what we should do now or after 1 year or 2 year because people they would like to know that what I should do now. Okay, if there is that kind of future, what you just described, what should I do now? How I can get
Yeah,
prepared to that future? So you want to know that what I
yeah,
can do
that's
today.
exactly the difficult
So
question right now. But if your goal is to try to position yourself in a gatekeeping position or high up in a future hierarchy of whatever pyramid or so on, then you probably are thinking from the wrong premises, and the future doesn't look like that, and you probably won't end up as well if you compared to if you actually have a realistic view of how the future will look like. So positioning yourself in the future, I myself in the corporate sphere advised people that they need to decide, do they want to be really close to the core AIs in the future, or do they want to be really far away? So both are completely viable strategies. If they want to be far away, they should try to be self-sufficient in some farm somewhere, and try to detach from their kind of dependencies on overall these kinds of AI systems and so on. Try to be small and insignificant, or else you can alternatively you can try to be near the core development of and growth of these new intelligences, and you want to be in the orbit of them to help them grow in various ways. So then you need to position yourself accordingly. Try to be near fountains of knowledge, basically fountains of skills, because AGI is actually really close. AGI meaning about superhuman intelligence, basically, and most tasks and so on. But it will still be in the initial stages constrained by the lack of public information available. Even if GPT-4 has been trained with all the Wikipedia and all the books available and scientific articles and internet content and whatever, that's the level of knowledge it has. That's you can still find dead angles and these kinds of avenues that it doesn't know about pretty easily, actually. So any AGI will instantly feel this absence of knowledge, absence of skills it lacks, like how to actually repair old plumbing in arbitrary houses or whatever. You want to be near places where this kind of knowledge is created, found these fountains of knowledge, basically, and they form gardens of intelligence, and intelligence will grow near those.
Pasi, what do you want to say?
Yeah, it's I'm not that far in my thinking than Tero. I'm, let's say, a bit closer to today. I cannot imagine all of this, just to be sort of frank on that one. But I do believe that the foundations that Tero you are talking about, they will be happening in that direction. I think that there will be always humans will resist, and there will be sort of this sort of it's not gonna be that fast if there are kind of still something that humans can do for that one. But yeah, going to sort of the skills part, I do think that like I said, let's say the details are not that important in the future anymore as the sort of big picture. So understanding this sort of like Tero said, how the whole societies work, both on sort of philosophical level, and then of course on the sort of the engineering level, on understanding the architectures, the data flows, data structures, also the kind of a correlation between things and so on. So this sort of like this is the big understand, like I was talking about this abstract thinking previously. So this is really hard for computers right now, so that to grasp on really fundamental things together. But it will be really difficult as well. But let's say like how to code one function on that kind of things, they won't be that important anymore. But understanding the relations of things and the architectures of things and how they work and why they work like they do.
And I want to add that it doesn't harm to study AI and coding related things. At least those develop your logical thinking and problem solving thinking if there are problems in the future.
Yeah, so we are reaching on the high note. So the future is not lost, even it might sound to it, but we just need to believe in ourselves, truly work on ourselves, make sure that our networks are strong, make sure that we are resilient, that we are human after all, and we try not to kind of try to find these shortcuts. We just try to work our way through this very difficult and unknown future in which nobody knows the right answer. So, and we have to do it together. So gather good people around you and make sure that you have built fortress, not a fortune, but fortress of good people around you, right? I would say that would. And let's meet open heart to be ready. So
Sorry.
thank you so much, guys. I'm really
Thank you.
appreciate you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. This line was really laggy, so I
Oh,
didn't hear what you said. Yeah, but thank
thank
you.
you.
This was
Thank you
really
so
fun
much. Have a beautiful afternoon. Thank you for everyone.
that you
Thank you.
invited me.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.